Hi, I'm Ashley Swartz, founder of Furious Minds, an advertising technology collective here in New York. Last week on this segment, I extended an invitation to everyone to make suggestions in regards to topics, things that we should discuss, matters of relevance to the industry at a point in time. I welcome you to continue to do that and send them to me at ashley@furious-minds.com, and I'll do my best to incorporate them. This week, I was fortunate enough to receive an email from John Hayes, the president of engineering.com, and he posed a great inquiry as to specifically B2B online video advertising and the fact that it is a sort of unrecognized or untapped medium for B2B marketers and the unique challenges that they have in this space, specifically of digital advertising. So I thought we'd talk about that a little bit this week. I did some research, as I normally do in prepping for these, and I found an interesting statistic that 75% of Fortune 500 executives watch online video while they're at work. And considering the fact that for B2B marketers, quite often who are technology providers, when looking at digital advertising, they are the key influencers in decision making, specifically in long-term partnerships that drive large 7 to 8 figure deals. So why are we not delivering video to this? Well, I think one of the main reasons that I found in my research is that, and I knew this from my sort of previous experience servicing a large Korean multinational, is that B2B marketers have unique challenges. They're very much so quite often performance-driven marketers. Lead generation is a key outcome of many of their online marketing efforts and investments. And when we talk about online video, quite often that's a soft medium, right? It's about engagement with a brand. It's about soft measurements for a brand, not necessarily about lead generation or targeting, retargeting. Performance-driven, rigorous campaigns are not really part of the paradigm of online video quite often. So what are B2B marketers spending today in online video, and what are they currently doing? Well, year over year, we saw a 27% increase from 2010 to 2011 on spend in online video for B2B marketers. And eMarketer estimates that next year, for 2012 specifically, forgive me, over 2011, they expect almost a 55% increase in spending. So awareness is building, momentum is increasing, but it's still a small percentage relative to consumer brands as far as investment goes for online video advertising. So one of the biggest issues, and I think the impediments, is where do they go, right? Well, when you talk about online video advertising, the first place that everybody goes to and their mind sort of is driven is YouTube. And the reality is that YouTube isn't really an attractive channel for B2B marketers. I mean, some reasons that sort of I cited in the reading are, there's no lead gen in YouTube, right? It's sort of a closed infrastructure. It's a delivery channel only. There's conversational units around the actual videos themselves, but there's really no way to capture leads and drive it back, right? The second thing is that it's often locked out by large companies. So large technology companies that have very secure firewalls typically do not allow sort of exhaustive web surfing, and YouTube specifically is a domain that is blocked within their firewalls. So it means a lot of the key stakeholders that you want to reach and prospective clients and decision makers, you can't get to them anyway during the workday, which is when they'd be doing research about procurement. There's no external clickable links, so they can't get to you. Even if they are able to watch your video, they can't get to you because YouTube doesn't have a means by which to drive them after they've viewed your video. And offering the performance of YouTube is subpar, specifically if you're a technology company with a brand value proposition that is about quality and innovation. It's gonna be really tough if you deliver your premium produced video and it buffers and you actually sit there and wait in vain to actually view the video. And there's no support. So if in fact the video is difficult, it doesn't perform, there's nobody you can call at the end of the day. So what did I thought a great way to sort of approach this was to go and look at a couple big B2B brands. And I chose GE, IBM, and Intel, both who I think have been innovators in B2B marketing, both in how they've turned their brands around or how they've positioned their brands in a unique way in the space. So I sort of looked at GE first and foremost, right? I found a really interesting case study about the GE show, which they delivered paid and shared media via BuzzFeed. And they found an incredible lift, specifically that 138% higher perception of their brand when a video was viewed via a shared medium versus a paid medium. And they're seeing that an 83% more likely positive perception, specifically of them as a creative or innovative brand when a video is viewed versus a shared medium over paid. So what does this tell me? It tells me that social media is an untapped resource for B2B marketers that they could leverage to actually distribute their online video much more effectively. IBM and Intel were interesting as well. They both, on their websites, they had a massive amount of video. They're producing high quality video to deliver their brand message. But one of the things I noticed that if you look at mobile optimization, specifically responsive web designs for tablets and mobile, it's not a place that they've actually invested. And that's where I suspect that a lot of their target stakeholders or consumers or decision makers are actually viewing their video in transit while they're on an airplane or waiting in an airport, and that's an untapped opportunity. So in looking at sort of everything that's going on, I just felt like a really great place to bring it to close was, so what do B2B marketers need to think about, which may or may not be different from consumer brands? I think one big thing is that this whole idea of virality doesn't really apply to B2B marketers as it sort of does for consumer brands. So a big rule is don't skip. The other thing is that social isn't necessarily as top of mind for B2B as it is for consumer brands, because they're not looking at building brand advocacy and looking at their consumers to necessarily be voices of their brand in the social sphere. But it is a powerful tool. So maybe it's partnering with social video distribution ad networks like Unruly, or maybe it's actually just becoming, creating more of a voice like Beth Comstock has created in Twitter and other social channels, so that you actually have presence, and social is a place in which your brand is present and plays. Stick to 60 seconds or less. Where your consumers are in the purchase funnel for B2B marketers is probably more important than consumer, because the consumer purchase funnel sort of has morphed into something that is fluid and nonlinear. And I think that's slightly different in much larger scale purchase decision-making processes. So look at marketing automation. Your performance-driven marketers, perhaps there's a way to actually refine and sort of engineer your online video campaigns and investments so that you're getting the greatest ROI from them. Data doesn't replace good content. That's first and foremost. Look at online video platforms as a delivery channel. The reality is that quality is paramount to delivering and fulfilling a brand proposition of innovation and creative. So you should be using distributors and partners that are going to actually deliver your content in the same way. Make your customers the stars. That's pretty easy and straightforward. The GE story has done a great job of that, as well as your employees. Invest in production and practice. If you're technologists, probably acting is not your core competence. If it's not hiring someone, then making sure your brand voices, whether it's your employees or your leadership or your C-suite, has an opportunity to actually refine the message and deliver it with precision. Think out of the box. Not everybody needs we don't necessarily need an Old Spice guy for B2B innovation companies, but we do necessarily need a way to resonate and reach a consumer that is unique and compelling, that drives them to watch and share your content. Show expertise and leadership, be bold, have some swagger, and at the end of the day, create an emotional and human connection. That is fundamental and paramount in any brand-related brand content, and actually know what your consumer is looking for and how to reach them in a way that resonates and is memorable. Thanks for tuning in. This is our first sort of segment that is responsive to the audience, so would love to hear your feedback and comments, and feel free to send on some more suggestions. Ashley at furious-minds.com, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks.